All right. Okay, so I have a bit more time today. Okay, today, right, I want to do something a little bit different compared to my past sharing with you guys. I want to talk about the topic on how you can brand yourself effectively without getting into trouble with, compliance or, online shaming or online exposing, right? And I want to do this a little bit differently by not giving you a specific way to do it. And I'm going to explain why later on. But before I go into that, right, I just want to hear from you. Okay, what does branding means to you? Okay, I give you a few seconds to think about it. Right, what does your brand means to you? Is your brand a magnifying glass? Means that your brand is basically a means for exposure to let as many people know as possible, or is your brand your logo, right, that represents you, right, that tells people what you stand for, or is your brand your content, right, what you post? What do you think? Can you type it in the chat? Right, Nicholas say your brand is your identity. Okay, what else? What other answers do you have? What does your brand means to you? Andrew say reputation. Okay. What else? What else? Values and principles. Okay. What else? Promotion to people. Okay. Bunyan say promotion to people. Personality. Okay. What else? What people say about you when you're not present. Okay. To be on others people's mind. Okay, so what I want to say over here, right, is that we all have different definition of what branding is, and this sharing that I have for you, right, is applicable for you, be it whether you're online or you're offline, whether you post things online or do you conduct your brand on offline, because in my own opinion, right, Andrew got it right for my definition, is that your brand is your reputation, right? Your brand is basically a perception of how people look at you, right? So I want you all to have a different view of this, because it affects what you express yourself online. It affects what you tell people when you're offline. And you probably realize that, I've stopped sharing how, you should build your brand, be it online, offline, because I don't want people to feel like, I don't want you, okay, especially today, to feel like there's one templated way to do it. Okay, your visibility or your marketing message or your brand only works if it is unique, right? When you write this down, right, your brand only works, right, when it is few in the many, not many in the many, right? It is best if you can be the one and only, right? Later on, I can share with you how you can grow closer to that, right? Branding yourself, be it online or offline, is about standing out in your unique ways that resonate with your audience. I see that many of you do your brand that is very, very, very similar to each other, very similar to some of your competitors also. So sometimes, when you hear testimonials about these things, right, it's very easy for you to turn someone else's testimony into a success formula, isn't it? Right. So today, that is why I don't want to give you a success formula, because a success formula won't be successful if everyone is doing the same thing. Right. So I just wanted to clear that out first. Right. And in marketing, right, if you're doing the same thing, right, if you're showing the same thing, it won't be effective. Okay, so we have seen, many of you who are active online, who post a lot online, but also end up with, no responses, right? Worse, some of you get into compliance issue, right? Some of you get into, there are a few cases of online exposing, right? And why am I saying this? Because I want to tell you, right, that in marketing, there is no two people the same. You may not be, for you, it may be more suitable to go online. For another one of you, it could be more suitable to go offline, right? We also have seen people who do not post any work online, but still end up, having more favorable introduction, right, and inquiries, right? We also seen people who are very well positioned online, right? It looks very good, feels good, right? But we come to offline, right? During the face-to-face meeting, they cannot carry off their identity, right? And because of that, people feel that can sense that inconsistency, right? And the last group of people we also have seen, right, is people who have started with not much of a credibility offline, right? Maybe because they just graduated, or maybe because they just came out from NS, or due to the lack of experience, they were from other industry. But they started documenting their learning experiences. They start documenting the things they learn, right? And share with their friends offline or online, be it a good or bad, right? And they end up having a very good credibility and following, right? And all this, right, it doesn't matter whether, what I want to say, right, is that it doesn't matter whether you do online method or offline method. Whatever I'm going to share with you today can work in both platforms, right, and in both methods, okay? And the other thing that I want you all to realize is I don't want you to oversimplify someone else's success story, okay? Because I'm going to promise you one thing. I'm not going to ask you to repeat someone else's success stories, okay? Because I think that there are so many trainings out there who take one success story, make it into a formula for you guys to follow, and just because someone else did this and gotten his success, you think that it is a formula for you to follow, right? It doesn't work exactly this way in marketing, okay? And I want you to know that think about your growth stage, because everyone is at different stage right now, different level right now, and you have different things to resolve right now. As I share with you, see for yourself which stage you are in, right? And see for yourself which area you need to work on first before you move on to the next stage. Okay, so let's get started, all right? Today, I want to offer you principles, not formulas, right? What is formula? Formula is if you do A and you do B, you will get C, right? But the problem is, right, that nobody has the same A, right? You might think, right, it is both A, but it is a little bit different, isn't it? So I'm not going to give you formulas here. What I want to give you is principle that you can apply, regardless it's online, offline, regardless is, whichever areas of your life, right? Right? Because principles is better, I feel, right? Principles are wisdom that you can apply in whatever situation you find yourself in. It's about the wisdom to make decisions. It's about the wisdom to live your life, right? And wisdom helps you to do the right thing that is useful to you. So I promise you that I won't just tell you, what is easy. I'm only interested in telling you what works, because I don't think that you came for easy anyway, lah, right? Right? If life is just about what is easy, you won't be in business anyway. You wouldn't be here, right? You'll be doing something else right now, probably, following the status quo. So I don't want you to come to monthly meeting or training, right, or listening to leaders' message, right, just so that you can feel good about yourself. I want you to come here to really develop yourself, right, so that you can be a better version of yourself, right, so that you can feel better about yourself, right, and feeling hopeful, excited, optimistic about the future is the result of becoming a better version of yourself, right? So today, I want to give you 3 quick principles. I hope you all have your pen and paper. Write down whatever speaks to you. Later on, you all can share. And as I go through this with you, I want you to brainstorm how you can brand yourself differently, right? Other than having to post results. Okay, write down what speaks to you. I hope that you can take away something that you can use immediately right after today's session. All right. So the first principle that I want to share with you, right, about branding is the principle of attraction. Okay, the principle of attraction. When it comes to branding, right, the most important question you want to ask is not who you want to attract or where to find them, right? The most important question you need to ask is who am I? Okay, I repeat again. The most important question you need to constantly ask is who am I? What do I mean? Right? The key thing is this, right? In the principle of attraction, it states that you don't attract who you want. You attract who you are, right? How often do you get to attract people you want, right? If you want to attract high net worth, right? How often do you attract people you want? You don't attract who you want, you attract who you are, right? Now, listen, you might attract people with different personality. I'm not saying that you need to attract people with the same personality. You might attract people who have this different personality, but you will only attract people who have similar character as you. Okay, so I want to give you an example. If you look at me and CK, I want you all to think about this, right? How different are we? Right? We both have very different personality, right? If you saw our strength finder before, you will realize that both of us have very different strengths, right? So CK, to me, he's more, people oriented. He has strengths like, empathy, relator, developer, right? Whereas I'm more what? Task oriented, right? I'm more, you will see the strengths like, I'm more focused, I'm achiever, systematic, right? And if you realize CK are more, it's more, it tend to be more collaborative in nature, right? Whereas I'm what? More competitive in nature. Yes? CK is more creative, right? Whereas I'm more systematic, right? He likes to challenge, existing model, whereas I like to duplicate, what already works. So we are so different, right? But what made us came together, right? What made us choose to stay together, right? It is who we are, right? You think about it, right? We all have differences in our personality, but we still choose to work together. It is our character, right? Because we both value the same things, right? Can anyone tell me what do you think, right, are the common things that me and CK value together? Right? Just type it below. What do you think we value the most? Maybe give a few things that you feel that we value the same thing that keeps us together. Okay, Shipei say growth. Yeah, growth is one of them. Right, both of us, we love upgrading ourselves, right? We love attending courses, reading books. CK like to watch YouTube videos as well. What else? What other values do we have in common? You're thinking, or okay, Nicholas says success. Okay, growth, efficiency, effective. Okay, I'm actually curious to know. That's why I'm asking. Okay, later I will share with you, right, what I think. I did send this to CK as well. I asked him for his strength finder test just to verify. Both of us actually value similar things, right? Both of us value growth. That's one. We both value loyalty, right? We both value responsibility. Trust is something that we both value the most as well, right? Contribution, and we live by it, right? So that is why we choose to stay together. We come together, right? I want to go back to the main point. The main point is that you don't attract who you want, you attract who you are, right? And I want to explain a little bit deeper into this, right? So when I talk about personality, right? Personality is what gets you noticed, right? It is the character, right, which is more important to people for them to trust you, especially when you're in an environment where people know you personally. Personality is how we are perceived. Right, it is an outer shell, right, that influence how you are being perceived, how you are being judged, right? Personality is like your DISC, tetramet, enneagram. What I want to focus on today, right, is your character, right? Character is who you are, right? It is your inner core that determines who you actually are, right? Your character is your moral code, your values, your principles, right, that defines your inner self. Right, and your character is the one that guides and influences all your thoughts and action. So why do I want to tell you this, right? I want to tell you this, right, because if you realize, right, people who trust you or people that you trust, right, are people whose character has been proven to you or proven to them, right? It is not based on your personality, it is based on your character. If you want someone to trust you, right, they can only trust you when your character has been proven to them. Right? Your personality may inspire others. Maybe you are charismatic, maybe you can speak well, But people will only truly follow and stick with you through tough moments when they believe in your character and your inner purpose. Does that make sense? Right? So your character is something that is built up over time, right? And is when it's developed right, it should rarely change. It should rarely change. But your personality may change based on different circumstances or changes, right? So if you do your personality test, right, do you realize that your personality changes like almost like every year, in some ways? So that is why, right, when people look at you online or offline, right, they are looking at your character. They are not, people are not just looking at, your returns, they want to work with people that they can work with, right? There's so many other advisors out there, maybe also posting returns. Why should they work with you, right? And like I say, right, if your branding is about the returns, then your branding is as volatile as the market, isn't it? So when the market is up, you have good branding. When the market is down, your branding disappears. So it cannot be based on returns. It should be based on your character, right? I want you to think about like, who are you, right? Who am I? You can ask yourself like, what characters of people would you want to attract? What characters are you, right? Can you attract who you want to attract? Okay, so next one, right? Okay, is if you want to attract prospect or ambassadors who are enjoyable to speak with, they are generous people, they are responsible, they are open-minded. My question to you is, are you who your ideal prospect is looking for? Right? You will attract people with similar character. If you are not generous, if you're not responsible, if you're not open-minded in the first place, will you attract people like that? Right? People who inspires, they stick together. People who complains, they stick together too. But you seldom see the two groups mix around very often. So I want you to ask yourself one thing, right? And look around you, right? And look at those advisors who get a chance to serve people with higher net worth or spending capability. Why is it that they are able to do so? Why is it that they are able to serve higher net worth people or people with higher spending capabilities? It comes back to the principle of attraction, right? Because it is who they are, right? They share similar characteristics as these customers, right? Well, I would guess that, they have good manners, right? They treat people well, they care about people, right? You don't get to attract who you want, okay? You get to attract people based on who you are in person. So the question that we really need to ask ourselves is that I want you to write down is, who am I going to be? Maybe right now you may not be there, right? But you want to ask yourself, who am I going to be, right? You have to answer that. And this answer, right, is not based on what people say you need to be, right? But you ask yourself, who do you want to be really? Like, who are you? Okay. And what kind of people you will attract will be based on who are you. I want to go back to fundamental first, because like I mentioned just now, right, your brand is like a magnifying glass. If there's nothing to amplify, there's nothing to amplify. But if there is something good to amplify, there will be something good to amplify. But if there is something bad to amplify, it will backfire on you. Do you get where I'm coming from? So I need to go back to the fundamental first to make sure that you're amplifying the right things. Make sure that you're amplifying the useful things that can help you get your business. Okay. So to really understand attraction, let's look at what's the opposite side of attraction, right? Let's look at, what's the opposite of attraction, right? It's called repel, right? So we need to first understand, when do you repel someone, right? You want to learn attraction, you need to learn like how you repel someone, right? Can anyone share with me, like what do you think, right? What is the opposite side of attraction? How do you repel someone? Or what kind of advisor would people avoid? Can you all type it in the chat, right? Who do you think, what kind of advisor repels? Or what kind of person repels someone? To understand the good side of something, we need to understand the opposite side, right? So Leroy said arrogant. Okay, what else? Seems very desperate for sales, pushy, right? Put people down, okay, rude. You know, all these are true, right? And there's one thing that if I can sum all your answer up, I feel, in my opinion, difference in values, okay, true, right? I personally feel, I give you my answer, right? I personally feel the number one thing that I feel, in my personal opinion, right, is being prideful. Because when someone is prideful, you can be sure, right, that the person is self-centered, right? And there's nothing worse, right, than being with someone that only thinks about himself or herself. Because if you realize, right, pride actually causes a lot of destruction, right? And because it makes you unwilling to change, isn't it, right? If you are very prideful, it makes you unwilling to change. So if you realize that, you know, if you saw someone that's prideful, you will more or less, you will never have a good relation with people if, you know, either of you are unwilling to change. Yes, right? And it's this ability to be humble, you know, and to change, and this ability to grow, and that's what help you have good relationship with people, right? So if you realize that, you know, arrogant, you know, putting someone else down, you know, all these answers or being rude, right? That's not that's definitely one side that will repel. But all in all, right, maybe that's just one time you were rude, right? But if you are willing to change, people will still be willing to spend time with you. But if you're stuck in that, right, and you're prideful and you're not, you don't want to change, you're unwilling to change, you won't have good relationship with people, right? So what am I saying here? What I'm saying here is I want you to think about, right, what are certain areas that you know you should change and you need to change in order to improve your relationship with people, because that will be things that you will realize that it helps you to express your feelings, your thoughts differently to people, be it online or offline, right? Is there things or areas that you need to change so that you will be more charismatic, you will be better with your relationship? All right, so I hope this part, you know, you get to you catch something, and do think about, you know, which area do you think you need to change, okay? And before I go on to the next principle, right, I just want to ask you, right, from a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you, right, to attract who you want to attract? From a scale of 1 to 10, you don't have to tell me your answers, okay? If your answer is 10, good for you. You probably are attracting the right group of people to you, and you enjoy what you do. You are congruent with your identity. You enjoy meeting people who you meet, right? But if your answer is 5, your answer is less than 5 or 6, you want to ask yourself, right? So who do you want to be, right? Who do you want to be? And how can you turn a 5 to a 6? How do you turn a 6 to a 7? And I want you to understand this because everyone has a different, you know, what they call affinity market due to your personal unique character, right? Your unique character. And every one of you here will get to attract different market based on who you are, right? And that's the the biggest differentiation you will ever have, right? Because no one else out there are like exactly like you, right? And I want you to think about, like, from a scale of 1 to 10, right? How ready are you to attract who you really want to attract? I remember last time, right, when I was doing joint field work with advisors, one of the person that I really like going joint field work with, right, is Shipei. Because whenever Shipei fix a joint field work with me, the clients are always very happy, very easy to talk with, and friendly. And there are some advisors that I go appointment with, right? The client don't really talk much, you know. So what I'm saying here is, right, that you 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 don't get to attract who you want, you get to attract who you are. Start working on yourself, right? Start working on your character. All right, y'all learning something so far? Yes. If yes, can you put yes so that I know you're still with me? Okay, then I can move on to the next one. Okay, good. Right, let's move on. Okay, the second principle I want to talk about is the principle of patterns, right? When it comes to branding, it's the principles of patterns. Okay, I want to use another analogy, right? You know, when you want to evaluate whether you want to date someone or not, right? You want to pay more attention to what this person has done, not what he is saying. Here I repeat again. If you want to date, you want to evaluate whether you want to date someone, pay more attention to what this person has done and not what he's saying. This is exactly the same for branding as well, right? What do I mean? People don't judge you based on your promises. They judge you based on your patterns, right? And what do I mean by this, right? A promise is what I say I will do. Okay? A promise is what I say I will do. A pattern is what I have done repeatedly. Okay? A pattern is what I have done repeatedly, right? A pattern is always a better indicator of the future than a promise. Can I repeat again? A pattern is always a better indicator of the future than a promise. So I give you an example today. If you are interviewing a ambassador or interviewing a candidate for FC, right? And this candidate came in to your office, he's late, and then after he walked a bit closer to you, he smells, probably haven't brushed his teeth or bathed, and then started swearing. Wow, very hot today, then he started swearing start to curse and swear. And then the moment he sit down, he put his leg on the table, right? But he's really smart. My question to you is, I want you all to answer this. Would you hire him? Like, let's say you find that he's talented, he's really smart. Would you hire him? Can you type it in the chat? Would you hire someone like that? Okay, Candy say no. Kim say unlikely. Who will actually hire? Okay, Alvin said it depends. Okay, finally there's some different answers. Need to consider. Okay. Would you say would you say, well, maybe that's just him before the interview lah. Maybe just him before he get the job. Maybe when he's recruited, maybe he's not going to act like that. If you're an MNC company, right, you will be crazy to hire that person, isn't it? You'll be crazy to think that, when he gets the job, he's going to change his patterns. So why am I saying here? People don't judge you based on what you say. People judge you based on what you have done repeatedly, right? And I want to ask you to think about what are the patterns of your life, right? And how do people discover your patterns? How do people discover your patterns? Do you think they discover your patterns the first time they see you? Right? And this is important for branding, okay? And my tip here is this, right? They need to first see you as a friend first. Because being a friend first, it helps them to get to know you. It helps them to discover your patterns, right? And being a friend first helps them to see how, you treat other people in life, how you talk to other people. You can be talking, right? Give you an example. You can be talking very politely to him, to your prospect in, let's say, Coffee Bean. But if they were to see you talking rudely to the waiter who's just served you, I can promise you something. He's going to be thinking, right, when he is your client, one day you're going to treat him this way. Isn't it? Right? So if you want to establish trust and be sought after, right, you need to look at the principle of patterns. What are your patterns right now? Because your prospect will not trust you based on just a promise. They will trust you based on what you have done repeatedly. Okay? So what I want to ask you is this. What patterns are we looking for? Right? Who is this person that we are looking for? What kind of patterns do we want? Right? You of course, you get to decide who you want to attract, right? If you want to attract people with growth mindset, right? Do you have a patterns of a growth person, a growth mindset person? So I want to ask you guys, right? What kind of patterns do you look for in a person when you decide whether to work with him or her or not? I mean, your personal answers. Okay, type it in the chat. What patterns are we looking for? What kind of person would you want to work with? Right? Okay, Desmond say consistency. True, right? What else? Predictable, growth, committed, honest. I want to give you one answer. Of course, this is not the only answer, right? You all can take reference to whoever that is typing in the chat right now. I want to share with you one value that can slowly build up your confidence. Okay, and that's what I always aim to do. right? So CKC, your patterns also decide quantity and quality of referrals and personal recommendation are part of offline branding, right? I want to share with you one value that can slowly build our confidence. And of course, this is my answer. But I feel that this works, be it you with your client, or anyone with their bosses, right? And it's the value of being deserving, right? But a lot of people, you all hear this value many times, to be deserving, to be deserving, to be deserving. Do you all really understand what it means by being deserving, right? To me, right, being deserving means, to me, right, it means that you exceeded expectations. Maybe you want to write that down. Being deserving means that you exceeded expectation, because being good with what you do right now, right, is the bare minimum. Okay, you want to write that down. Being good at what you do right now is the bare minimum, right? Being an expert is the minimum. You are expected to be good with your advice. It's already expected. Okay. The question is, did you exceeded people's expectation? If you are posting Google search content, that is expected content, right? Do you go beyond expected? Do you exceeded people's expectation? So, give you an example. A doctor, right? A doctor's analogy, right? A doctor, the minimum expectation of a doctor is sound medical advice, right? Imagine you visit a clinic and you tell the doctor, you're having a headache and fever, and then the doctor said, "Oh, give me a minute, let me check my textbook." How would you feel? They are expected to be competent, right? So my question is, how can you exceed other people's expectations, right? And I want to share with you my dentist experience, my dental experience. Sorry, when you visit a dental clinic, right? You ought to have some fear tingling in you, yes, and especially when you are visiting this dentist for the first time, and you heard about many bad experience people had. I want to share with you one real story, it's a real story. Okay, I remember there was once in my army days, right? Sam will remember this. He had to go for his wisdom tooth extraction, right? He got to extract his wisdom tooth, and I here's the thing. I don't know why he chose to extract his teeth in camp and not a private clinic. So apparently, right, after he came back from the medical center, I saw him, right? There was this, you all see this part, right? There was this crack at the side of his lip, really crack, right? The whole crack's lying over here. And then he told me his experience. Apparently, right, this dentist was a student dentist. And you can imagine, right, when he was lying there, they put this tube into his mouth so forcefully, right, that it torn off his side lips, right? And not only that, halfway through the operation, the dentist dashed out, right? Dashed out to ask for a senior doctor's advice. Imagine your dentist is operating you halfway and suddenly panic and then run out of the room. Hey, doctor, can you come and take a look? Right? What would you do if you were him? Right? But apparently, right, you can't do anything in camp. So I want to share with you this, right? After having, all these bad experiences and bad stories that I heard about, right? Fast forward to my dental experience. I visited a clinic at Tanjong Pagar Center. And I think some of you I shared with you before. I remember I visited this clinic. The whole experience was so pleasant, right? The receptionist was friendly. They talked to me, asked me about my visit, make me feel at ease, right? When she guided me into the room, right? Of course, the dentist asked me what's my purpose of the visit. It was just a simple cleaning treatment, right? And what they did that surprises me, right, or made me have an impression, was that as I sat down on the operating chair, they put a earphone on me, right, and as I look up, right, it was Iron Man movie playing. So going through a dental treatment is the minimum expectation. But what they did for me, right, which is put on the headset and then was watching Iron Man movie while doing my scaling and cleaning, make the whole experience entirely different and exceeded my expectation, right? And that is why I always share to others about this experience. Some of you, I shared this experience with you before. That clinic is opposite Tanjong Pagar Center, right? B1. Y'all can go and check it out, right? So I want you to ask yourself, right? Have you been doing the bare minimum, right? Or have you exceeded people's expectation? Right? Are you doing the bare minimum, what you have been told, right? Or have you exceeded people's expectation? Okay, start thinking about that. All right. So the last principle that I want to share for you for branding today is the principle of direction. Okay, the principle of direction. The question for the principle of direction is: are we going in the same direction? Right? Are we in the same place? A better question to ask, right? It is not if we are at the same place. A better question to ask, right, is are you on the same path? Right? So don't just ask like, if you're at the same place, but ask yourself, if you're on the same path with the audience that's connecting to you, right? Are you heading to the same goal in life, right? Because your personal brand will not and should not speak to everybody. It will speak to people who are heading in the same direction. Don't just ask if you are at the same place, right? Your client can be wealthier than you, can be richer than you. It doesn't matter, right? But you're heading to the same goal, right? Are you heading towards the same goal in life, right? Growth, contribution, financial independence, right? Whatsoever, right? Are you heading towards the same goal? The key thing is this, right? Common vision links people together, right? You can have different backgrounds, right? You can be at different places in life. Maybe some of them are married and you're not. Maybe some of them are rich and probably you're not yet rich. Some of them may be poorer. Some of it may be educators, whatsoever. The reason why you can walk together with them and they will choose to walk together with you, right, is because you're on the same path. I want you to think about this. Whoever you're with, right, for whatever projects, you may have different backgrounds, right? But the reason why you're working together is because you want to achieve the same thing, right? And that's why you can work together and be together, right? It's the same for your clients as well, right? And I want to give you an example. Let's go to another niche, right? You know when you are when you started dating, you might start off being close because you started liking the same things, right? The same movie, the same hobby, the same food, the same friends, right? And you're at the same place. My question to you is, right, what if, right, you're heading on a different direction? What if you're heading on a different direction? As you realize that as you keep going, right, you're going to start drifting off, right? You're going to realize that you're going to realize, how did we drift so far, right? We were so close, right? And the reason for that is because we have a different picture about the future, right? A different picture about the future. So my question is, right, do two people actually work together unless they agree to do so? You hear my question? Do two work together unless they agree to do so? And you realize that, you only agree to work with someone when you find out where this person is going. Yes? You only agree to work with somebody once you find out where this person is going. So if after the meeting today, right, and you ask one of your friends here, hey, Ken, where are you going after this? And then you realize that he's going to the same place as you, right? You will walk together. But if you were to ask each other where you are going, and one person say, I'm going to Jurong, the other person say, I'm going to Pasir Ris. And then you say, great, okay, good. And then let's walk together. And then you walk together, right? I want to tell you one thing. One of you will be very disappointed. One of you will be very disappointed because you're heading a different direction, right? You want to go different direction, right? And it won't be the other person's fault, right? So don't blame your prospects or blame your followers or for not following you, because you might not be heading to the same place as they want. So if you're not heading to the same path, you are heading for disappointment, right? And I want to share this with you because I want you to think about that for your reputation, for your brand. What is that direction you want to hit, right? Is it just a superficial, showing people, the car you drive, the money you have, or the investment returns you have? What is that direction you want to go, right? And if you want to build your own personal brand, right? I want you to ask yourself, what is that path you want your audience to embark on with you, right? You know, if you go on YouTube and you search like, you know, investments, all this, you see all kinds of YouTuber. The one that is really irritating is the one that just show result but didn't show anything of value. Right? I don't know if you guys got follow YouTubers or not, right? And there are some YouTubers that they just result, but you want to learn something, there's nothing you learn from that video. It's just results, right? And then at the end of the day, they are promoting something. What I want to say here is this: you will attract people with similar direction, similar vision. Okay, and you don't have to post your clients' returns, because if you're just posting your clients' returns, like I say, your brand will be as volatile as the market, right? Understand that, you know, people buy people first before they buy your process, right? They buy your process first before they buy your product, right? You just need to make sure that when it comes to your branding, online or offline, you can showcase your character, you can showcase your patterns, you can showcase your direction. You will see yourself having a more sustainable, long-lasting brand. Okay, so I've come to the end of this tree sharing, right? And today I just want to impart this three principle to you, right? So that you are able to go back and really rethink about how you want to rebrand yourself, right? How you want to showcase yourself in a way that, you know, you don't have to rely on just posting the returns, okay? Because if the market is down today, does that mean that you have no post to post really? So I want you guys, right, to just take 30 seconds or 1 minute, think about what speaks to you, and I hope y'all can do some sharing, you know, in the chat of what you took away, right, with me, right? And if you have any new perspective of things, right, you can share that so everybody get to learn as well. But that would be fine. Can take just 20, 30 seconds, think about what you have learned, what speaks to you, right?